And it's okay. No, there's something going on here again. Hmm. If people could hear me, I'd really, really like if somebody would tell me that you could hear me because my mic it's saying that my mic is working, but I know in the last live it wasn't because I went back, listened, and then I had to delete it because there was actually no sound. And I'm not sure why. There was sounds to the videos, but there was no oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mississippi Missy, thank you. And thank you for telling me on the last one that yous couldn't hear me. I should do this first, and I'm just getting used to doing these. So I should have did this first. I should have just chatted for a little bit to make sure you guys could hear me and then start into the videos and okay. Thank you so much for letting me know that you can hear me. No, it wasn't you. And the thing is, when you go over to a video, you can't see the screen, the comments. Maybe I should take my tablet and open up YouTube, and then I can actually, well, no, not even on my tablet because you can't, on my tablet, you can't see comments. On my phone, I guess I could open it up. Um, yeah, and then that way I could hear it myself and know if there's no sound or not. Yeah, it wasn't you, it was on my end, and I have no idea why, because it was actually showing that it was working, so I'm not sure why it wasn't, but anyways, thanks for letting me know. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. I hope you're enjoying some nice weather. It's nice here today, thank goodness. We had enough rain. It rained and it rained and it rained, and on the days that it wasn't raining, it was dark and dreary, and so finally we're having some nice weather. And yesterday I was able to get some plants transplanted over into my pots. My husband will do the bigger stuff, the garden stuff. I just like to sit outside and then take everything I started inside and transplant it outside into big gigantic pots and watch it grow. And yeah, so I have that all done. So some stuff we're going to get into today. Now that I know everyone can hear me, is these two little fellas. Oh, I don't like when that does that.
Candlelight vigil in Shellerton to show support. Lilly and Jack Sullivan have been missing for 1 month, and tonight a community group held a candlelight vigil in Shellerton to show support for the family and friends impacted by the disappearance. A group called Lilly and Jack Updates, Let's Bring Them Home, was behind the vigil to bring a stuffed animal for the siblings. RCMP resumed the search for Lilly and Jack over the weekend, finding nothing in what Colchester County Search and Rescue called grueling search conditions in and around an area of Lansdowne Station. This is the third lengthy search that has come up empty in locating them.
Back to me. Let's get to the next video. So this one right here is them talking to the neighbors who have like these hunting cameras. I forgot what they call them, the official name. I don't hunt, There's kind of like trail cameras. That's what they call them, trail cameras. And so they're talking about the trail cameras that they were able to get from the scene. And we're going to get into some of these articles about the lie detector tests, etc.
Melissa Scott's trail cameras might contain clues about the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan. RCMP asked her for days of footage as the investigation into the missing children approaches the 3-week mark.
It's scary, especially not knowing what happens. We definitely keep our kids a little closer to home now.
The 4- and 6-year-olds were reported missing from this home on May 2nd, launching a massive search of the woods surrounding the home. No trace has been found, and RCMP haven't ruled out the case is suspicious. This is some of the footage Scott gave police. She says RCMP major crimes officers came to her home this week, asking for everything on her 7 cameras, starting April 27th, 5 days before the kids were reported missing. 2 of Scott's neighbors were also asked to provide footage to RCMP. She says the officers also asked about her family's vehicles to rule out local traffic in the footage.
Possibly they are wondering if they didn't go missing earlier, or maybe somebody who isn't local to the area was around beforehand.
This road is the most direct path from Scott's property to the home the kids went missing from. We drove between the 2 places. It's about an 18-minute drive down rough dirt roads. Straight through the woods, it's about 5 kilometers.
I did mention to them that I was very happy to see them and glad that they were canvassing a little further and looking at trail cam footage. And they did respond saying that they probably should have been around earlier.
RCMP would not.
So basically, she's acknowledging that the police are actually acknowledging that they're kind of dropping the ball a little bit. I personally believe, listen, I'm in America. We go by a different standard than Canada. We're going to talk about that because the Canadians apparently have a different standard on how you can conduct yourself when you are critiquing or just looking into and advocating these stories on social media. That's a different country. I don't fall under that country's jurisdiction. One thing I agree with is that we should not be using these platforms to bully people. We should not be doing that. We should not be using these platforms to incite any type of harm on anybody. I will speak out against that. I've said that for Jen Soto, one of the big cases that I cover, and Stephen Stearns. Specifically for Jen Soto, I said, if anybody is harassing, haranguing, following, whatever, stalking, whatever this person, they should go to jail. We have a criminal justice system for a reason. It is our duty to allow the process to play itself out and to respect the criminal justice system, not take justice in our own hands, all right? I'm not a fan of that at all, right? But we come here on these platforms because we want to bring awareness to these children. Because if we don't talk about it, I'm telling you right now as a professional, if you don't talk about it, it disappears. The pressure goes low because you got to understand, every single day a new case comes up that's going to be demanding the same or even more attention. And you only have but a limited amount of resources to put out there to work these cases. So the cases that have the most media attention are the cases that are going to get the most resources. If we stop talking about Lilly and Jack, which is what, the RMCP, what do they call themselves? The RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the Nova Scotia officials, if we listen to them and we shut our mouths, the pressure is off of them. With all this pressure that we have on them, they still took too long to canvass this far out, to look for the cameras that they're looking for. How do we know this? This lady told us. She just told us that they admitted that they should have done a better job canvassing. So for the people who live in Canada and maybe grow up in a different culture and society and have different views and values on these things, you might look at the YouTubers and you might say, oh, you guys are doing too much, man. Like, this is a Canadian issue. Stay out of it. Well, number one, I have an international audience and I have a lot of Canadians that are following the American cases that I'm covering. So it's not fair that you can follow our cases, but we can't follow yours. But that's a juvenile argument. I'm not going to make that argument. The argument the only argument I'm going to make is that we care. It doesn't matter if it's a kid in Zimbabwe. It doesn't matter because I'm going to cover a story in South Africa where a mother was and her boyfriend were given life sentences because they sold their 6-year-old daughter to a witch, a warlock, or whatever. And they still can't find the kid. And some people are thinking that the kid was sold for body parts. It doesn't matter if you're in South Africa, Zimbabwe, Ukraine, Canada, or good old US of A. A child is a child. And we have a duty as good people to advocate for them. And so, yes, a total stranger that lives in New York and not in Canada, I'm going to advocate for that child. A child that it doesn't even look like any of my kids. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And that's the only thing that matters, our shared and common humanity. And that's why we're going to advocate for this child. So I'm sorry if some of us YouTubers are hurting these Canadian sensibilities of saying nothing on social media for fear of whatever sanctions these folks do to each other in their country. No disrespect. But that's not how we do here in this country. And we're going to keep fighting for children regardless. So let's keep going.
Not answer CBC's questions, including why they are seeking trail camera footage from before the disappearance and why they are identifying local vehicles. Nicola Sagan, CBC News, Glengarry Station, Nova Scotia.
All right, perfect, man. That's a really good video right there. So what I want to do is now I want to...
I'm Michelle Sayers, and I'm the owner of Beauty from Bees. So when I was pregnant 11 years ago, information really started to surface about harm.
The reason why they're saying that they're ruling out abduction, maybe they have proof.
It has been now a little more than a month since Lilly&Jack Sullivan vanished in Nova Scotia's Pictou County. Multiple massive search efforts have turned up little sign of the 4- and 6-year-olds. Last night, dozens of people came together for a vigil to try a new tack, hope and prayer. CTV's Hafsa Arif has the story.
Lilly&Jack Sullivan, still missing?
Reading the words from a page he was handed at a vigil for his missing stepchildren, 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan, Daniel Martel says it brought out a lot of emotions.
They had some RCMP speakers and people from the community, and there was even one guy who drove all the way from Sheet Harbor to come up and show his respect, so I appreciate that.
The children are believed to have wandered away from their home on May 2nd. It's been weeks and not much has turned up since. But Martel is still holding on to hope the children will be found safe.
It doesn't get any easier. I mean, 1 month has passed.
At the vigil, Martel didn't know what to expect, but people came. Strangers stood silent, held candles, and left messages.
What else can you do? It's a way they can show their emotion and as best they can, and that we haven't forgotten.
The children's mother didn't attend the vigil. Martel says the grief has been overwhelming and online speculation hasn't helped, especially for their daughter that still lives with her.
Put your focus outward around Malaya and toward the kids. Don't attack Malaya, because her mental health is, you know, it's going to be reflected on our daughter, so I don't want anyone attacking Malaya anymore.
The county's warden says he understands a vigil may seem premature to some, but it's a sign of how deeply the community cares.
I always thought that perhaps it was a little early, and perhaps it would show that we were sort of accepting the inevitable, and maybe we have to. But I think there was still hope here. I don't think they were giving up.
The RCMP is still investigating this as a missing persons case and is encouraging anyone with information to reach out. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Stellarton.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. So. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Now I understand why. Because I took myself off stage. Gosh dang it all. I can't go through all that again. Now I see what's going on. Okay. Okay. I get it. Yeah. But I don't want my face in the middle of their face. And I can't figure out how to take that out of there. Like it should move off to the side, and I don't know how to make it do that. Anyways, I guess I'm gonna have to keep my face up there on theirs until I figure out, wait a minute. No, but remove from stage, solo layout. Yeah, I'll have to play around with this later and figure out how to get my avatar to move off to the side, smaller, and not cover their faces. I'm not going to do it right now because we're in the middle of this live that I just realized there was no sound again. Alrighty. So let's try this again. Lilly&Jack Sullivan update. There's really no update, guys. It's just the RCMP saying the usual. What I played was it made it sound like it was an update, but then they just played the video of the visual that we've already seen. It was just a repeat of their video, and then they just stated that the RCMP are committed to figuring this out, and they're still asking for tips and bippity boppity boo, the usual. For anyone coming back in, I'm sorry. I realized again that I lost sound, and I figured out what it is. I was removing my avatar so that it wasn't, covering the faces there. And when I do that, it is also cutting my sound out, which I didn't realize happened. And I can't figure out how to, like when I watch Granny's Crime Buster, she makes her avatar go off to the side and smaller because it drives me nuts that my avatar is so huge too. I don't think I need my face that giant on the screen. I just want to be a little off to the side. And for the life of me, I can't figure out how to make it do that. I have tried and tried and tried, but I will work on that later. So anyways, so I figured that out. That's what's going on there, and that's why there is sound at times and then there isn't. So please don't think I'm being disrespectful by covering up the faces there. I'm going to lose sound if I take my avatar off there, and I will figure that out, how to make it move to the side. Yeah, so basically that's it. There's really no update. And then I played the video of Daniel saying, I will pull that one back up and play that again, about Daniel asking for people to not pick on Malaya, and I touched on that. Search for no, it's not it. Just give me 1 second, guys, and I will find that again. Yeah, it's just him asking for people to not Daniel Martel. That's the thing, you find these videos. I'm all prepared before I start. I have all these videos up ready to go. And then when I go to play them, they're there. But then I X them out. Okay, here it is. Gotta share the screen first. Thanks for being here, everyone. And I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties. I am new to doing the lives. I typically record, so I'm sorry, but you guys are my guinea pigs, unfortunately, because I'm just getting into the lives, and it's still a learning curve for me, obviously. Yeah, but it's coming.
Jack Sullivan, still missing?
Reading the words from a page he was handed at a vigil for his missing stepchildren, 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan, Daniel Martell says it brought out a lot of emotions.
They had some RCP speakers and people from the community, and there was even one guy who drove all the way from Sheet Harbor to come up and show his respect, so I appreciate that.
The children are believed to have wandered away from their home on May 2nd. It's been weeks and not much has turned up since. But Martell is still holding on to hope the children will be found safe.
It doesn't get any easier. I mean, 1 month has passed.
At the vigil, Martell didn't know what to expect. But people came. Strangers stood silent, held candles, and left messages.
What else can you do? It's a way they can show their emotion and as best they can, and that we haven't forgotten.
The children's mother didn't attend the vigil. Martell says the grief has been overwhelming, and online speculation hasn't helped, especially for their daughter that still lives with her.
Put your focus outward around Malaya and toward the kids. Don't attack Malaya, because her mental health is, it's going to be reflected on our daughter, so I don't want anyone attacking Malaya anymore.
The county's warden says he understands a vigil may seem premature to some, but it's a sign of how deeply the community cares.
I always thought that perhaps it was a little early, and perhaps it would show that we were sort of accepting the inevitable, and maybe we have to. But I think there was still hope here. I don't think they were giving up.
The RCMP is still investigating this as a missing persons case and is encouraging anyone with information to reach out. Hafsa, RFC-TV News, Stellarton.
Yeah, so what I was saying there, when I didn't know nobody could hear me, is that I agree with him. I agree with what he's saying. However, I'm not so sure that it has to do, with what I'm doing or the other channels they're doing. I don't really recall anybody saying really horrible things about Malaya, except for Daniel himself and his cousin. And I was saying how in the community and in the county, people are starting to feel those feelings of anger. And that for me, those messages really piqued it, because it just seems like some games being played, and to be out there saying stuff like that and sending people text messages saying that stuff and being on TikTok. There's kids missing, and they're the kids of Malaya. They're the children of Malaya. And it just, there's just something wrong with that. And I keep going back to that day when Malaya had to sit in the back of an ambulance, left the debrief. And in his own words, Daniel said she could not even look at him, or, she had a look of disgust on her face. New update on CTV News. Okay. Thank you. Truth hurts sometimes. Thank you. I'm going to go over. I'll check it right now, okay? You just stopped me in my tracks. And that's where I'm going. One hour ago. All right. Share screen. And I like doing it new with you guys where I didn't even read it yet, and we're actually gonna go through it together. I'm now where you brought my comment up. I still can't hear you. It's just as you described. Your audio went away, but the clips, videos came up. Oh, you're back. Yeah, I figured it out. It's because I was removing my avatar because it was covering Lily and Jack, and I didn't realize when I removed that, apparently it removes my volume as well, or my it mutes me from today. Yep. No problem. Where are you from? I'm from Pictou County. I'm actually from where Jack and Lily are from, and Daniel. Yeah. So, and was saying when I lost volume how, we're pretty much to the point now of the anger stage. People are starting to feel anger. And I really noticed it in my last video when I went back and looked at it. I didn't realize, sometimes you're showing feelings and you don't realize it. Um, and yeah, and um, oh, hi from Windsor. Welcome to the channel. You're welcome here anytime. Yeah. All right, everyone, let's go over this update. I'm curious because this is going to be new. Well, I guess maybe you read it because oh, I got to share screen. Truth hurts sometimes. Isn't that the truth? Absolutely. Nova Scotia RCMP administers polygraph tests in missing children investigation. And there's the cutie pies. They're so cute. The Nova Scotia RCMP has confirmed some of the 54 people interviewed about the mysterious disappearance of 2 children in rural Pictou County have taken polygraph tests. Oh, interesting. They did not say how many tests were administered, who took the tests, or what the results were. Police provided an update Wednesday saying more than 11 Nova Scotia RCMP units are working on the case. Wow, that's awesome. Along with the National Centre of Missing Persons, Canadian Centre for Child Protection, and provincial and municipal police agencies across Nova Scotia and Canada. That's excellent. Because the main town in Pictou County, New Glasgow, has quite a large police force and a good police force there. Download the CTV News app. No. The investigation is being led by a tenuous committed. Yeah. The investigation is being led by a tenuous committed group of investigators who are gathering and assessing information daily to learn more about the circumstances of Lily and Jack's disappearance so we can find them, said RCMP Staff Sergeant Rob McCann in a news release. All scenarios are being considered. Well, that's good. And we've engaged every tool and resource at our disposal. It's believed 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan wandered away from their home on Garlock Road in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, the morning of May 2nd. Police have confirmed the children were spotted in public with family members the afternoon of May 1st. Since their disappearance, police say they have collected hundreds of hours of video from the area surrounding Lansdowne Station, including footage taken along Garlock Road between 12 p.m. on April 28th and 12 p.m. on May 2nd, for which police had issued a public plea on May 28th. Police also say they have received 488 tips about the case and been granted numerous judicial authorizations to seize and examine materials and devices that may provide information useful to the investigation. We're assessing, evaluating, and analyzing a significant volume of information from the variety of sources. We have a very coordinated and deliberate approach to make certain all information is meticulously scrutinized, prioritized, and actioned to ensure nothing is missed, said Corporal Sandy Mathero. Investigation led with the Northeast Nova RCMP Major Crime Unit. We're committed to doing what is necessary to locate Lily and Jack and advance the investigation, which may take longer than we all hoped. Yeah, and that's true, and that's too bad, but that's just sometimes how it is. As for the search, the RCMP says investigators have extensively searched the Lansdowne Station property, including the following: home, grounds, outbuildings, nearby septic system, wells, mine shafts, culverts. Police say the information gathered during the investigation, including all ground search and rescue efforts, has not identified any new search areas at this time. The RCMP first launched an extensive air and ground search for the siblings, which covered 5.5 square kilometers of heavily wooded and rural terrain, shortly after they were reported missing. The search, which involved hundreds of people, dogs, drones, divers, and helicopters, was scaled back 5 days later. Additional searches took place on May 8th, 9th, 17th, 18th, 31st, and June 1st. In the last search, 78 trained searchers from across the province focused on specific areas around Garlock Road and a nearby pipeline where a boot print was previously found. And I don't know if I was cut off when I was explaining about the pipeline. That's a trail. It's not an actual above pipeline that's running along the ground. It's a pipeline trail. It's a trail where, there was bushes that were cut out, trees cut out, and ended up making a trail so they could put the pipeline underground. So that continued to be a trail that people use. And they're all along Canada. Nearby pipeline where a boot print was previously found. Anyone with information about the missing children is asked to call the Northeast Nova RCMP Major Crime Unit at 902-896-5060. To remain anonymous, contact Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers toll free at 1-800-222-TIPS, which is 8477. Awesome. That is a really good update. Awesome update. And Scooter says, I don't mind being the guinea pig. Well, thank you. And I'm sorry that you have to be. But I will eventually figure this all out. Yeah, so that is the update. Interesting. I have to be honest, I'm so confused now because this whole thing of losing my sound and then my sound coming back, and I don't know where, I feel confused and totally messed up on this. So I think what I'm going to do is, because I don't know what you guys didn't hear while my mic was off, my mic was on. I'm going to skip over to Esther Jones, because she is one that's not touched on a lot. Um, there is an update on Travis Decker, and they have they've spotted him, and they're still looking for him. It doesn't seem like he's going in the direction of Canada. But who knows? Maybe he knows he's got something planned out that we're not aware of. Yeah, there's no sense in me. I put here 1 minute and gone the next. And, there's systems that let these poor girls down. And again, I apologize about my avatar. I have to figure out how to move it off to the side. And that's sad. That's very sad. Besides what their father did, there's a lot of webs weaved into this whole mess with these poor girls and what happened to them, to be honest with you. But anyways, they did spot him. They're on his trail, and they're going to get him. They're going to get him. Or he's just going to end up, you can only go eventually so far without, a lot of food and water, and you're using a lot of energy to try to move fast to stay away from these guys catching you. So eventually he's just going to conk out. He's going to run out of gas is what's going to happen. Yeah. Okay. So Esther, where are you, Esther? I'm going to take myself off screen for a minute, but this is Esther. And for Esther and her family, justice is slowly coming. So you see her there. So let's move over to her story. And Esther is from the Valley. So we just had somebody in here from Windsor, so that would be closer to the Valley than I am. So that's the Valley in Nova Scotia, Annapolis Valley.
EstherJones made their way into a Kentville. More than a dozen family members of EstherJones made their way into a Kentville courtroom Monday morning, a show of support for their aunt and sister as her accused murderer Dale Allen Toole attended his first court appearance on a first-degree murder charge.
It's definitely a shock. You never expect to have your family deal with a murder, especially that close when it's the murder of someone you know. It's very, very devastating.
Jones' niece, named Esther after her aunt, says this process has been traumatizing for her family. Esther Jones, being one of 15 siblings, the large kin had only recently lost their mother, who Esther was primary caregiver to, and was working on finding a new normal.
She was looking forward to coming out to visit me, doing some traveling and stuff that she hadn't had the opportunity to do. And we were looking forward to bringing her out west, and we just didn't get there.
Parker remembers her sister as a kind, loving, sweet person, forever trying to make the lives of others better.
She would go down to the Veterans Wing and the Mayflower Wing, and she would play the piano and sing.
Musically gifted, Esther played and taught many instruments with a special affinity for piano. In a tribute on display at the memorial set up by family at the Kingston Bible College, where police believe the fatal struggle occurred.
We're all victims here, and we're all suffering together. I want the family of the murderer to know that this in no way reflects on who they are, and they're suffering with us, and we understand that.
Ullman says Toole, the accused, didn't know Esther personally, but would have known of her in their small community. She does not know of any direct relationship between the two.
Dale Allen Toole is set to appear in this Kentville courthouse on October 23rd. Megan King, Global News, Kentville.
Yeah. And that's sad. And, you know, I touch on these cases as well because I had said when you couldn't hear me, you know, there's with women and children, like statistically, it's not good, you know? Um, yeah. We have to do better to protect women and children. Okay, I want to play one more there with thanks, Scooter. I want to play one more there about Esther. And so she come out of Bible study, and the attack happened in the parking lot. They were able to determine that. And he took off. By the time they figured out who it was who attacked her and unalived her, he was in the States by then, in Houston. And so they did, and he was making his way to Mexico. He actually had a plane. He was ready to board a plane to Mexico, and they got him and got him back to back here. So the trial should be starting soon. And that's why I say justice is slowly coming, because you know, it took a while. It took, you know, by the time they figured it out, and then he was gone, and then to figure out where he was, and then to get him back. And but he's back now, so now it's time for him to pay some justice. And unfortunately, our justice here in Canada is not like it is in the States. We don't have, I mean, you know, the death penalty we do not have. And I don't know what my thoughts are in that, because we don't have to really think about that in Canada, because we just don't have it. There certainly are people like, I mean, somebody like Travis Decker, you know, situations like that where I would say definitely yes. I'm sorry, but that person, yeah, anyways. But then again, I think as a society, where do we fail this person? Because you know, for two reasons, two of the reasons I started this channel is to try to understand why people do these things. And there's many different reasons. You know, I started off talking about the cults and the abuse going on there with children, and you know, nothing's being done about it. And there's many cults. There's a couple more I'm going to touch on still, and that they're, you know, and it's abuse towards children. W5 touched on a really good one there that every parent should know about, because it's targeting young children. The youngest, I believe, was 8, and I am going to touch on that. But you know, where do things go wrong in a person's head that this stuff starts? We're all born innocent. We're just sweet little babies. And then as the path is being paved, where does something go wrong with that person that they resort to stuff like this? So, and you know, anyways, that's one reason. I just think we need to understand better what's going wrong. And the other is to, you know, protect our children and women better than we are. And not to leave men out, but again, statistically, it's women and children who are targeted. And thank goodness for being able to do channels like this, and to be able to come together and speak on these things. Okay, so let's take a look at this one as well.
RCMP are back on the ground in Greenwood, continuing their search for the remains of Esther Jones. The 55-year-old was reported missing by her family last September. A man known to her has been charged in her murder, but her body has never been found.
It's nice weather now. Spring, summer's finally here. People are going to be out and about. If you're out in the woods, those kinds of things, you see something that looks a little bit weird, especially if you're kind of in this western end of Kings County or over the border into Annapolis County, please give us a call.
Police believe she was killed at the Kingston Bible College after a struggle with 54-year-old Dale Allen Toole. He was detained in Houston while attempting to flee to Mexico. He was eventually arrested after being deported back to Canada. Police say they want to speak to anyone who had contact with Toole between August 31st and September 7th last year. For Esther Jones's family, the renewed search is a reminder of their ongoing loss. Her niece says it's comforting to know that the search is continuing, but she believes the justice system failed her aunt.
Victims' families get a life sentence. We never get to move past this.
Esther's sister, who lives in Alberta, is hopeful her remains will be found so the family can put them to rest.
I'd so much sooner have it this way than have a body and not have the murder in check. So we have that to be thankful for.
The RCMP say they have already conducted over 100 interviews, collected video surveillance from more than 50 locations, and searched multiple sites in and around Annapolis County. The search continues. Vernon Ramasar, CBC News, Halifax.
And that's the saddest thing, is that they don't have her. And he won't tell them where she is. You know? He won't tell them. So, why? Well, I guess he's probably going to try to get out of these charges. So that's just more evidence, I guess, if he tells them where she is. But just sick. Like, tell the family where this poor woman is so they can put her to rest, for God's sakes. Okay, so let's touch on Travis quickly. We're at an hour and a half now. Hi to everyone that's here. I can see that there's people here. Feel free to chat. Remember to hit that like button. We'll just do a little pause here and... Yes, exactly. I agree. Yeah, the control thing. Uh-huh. Yep. You got it. Right on. Scooter. Sad. So we will go over to, and again, actually I can remove that just for a second and then I'll put it back up so you can see these three. So sad. So we have Paityn, 9, Evelyn, 8, and Olivia, 5. And I say here 1 minute, gone the next, because just that's it, in a blink of an eye. 3 little angels are here and then they're gone. And now their mom has to, I don't know how she's, I just don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. To lose, for a parent to outlive one child is horrific, and a parent never gets over that. But all 3 at once, like, I mean, that's her life over. That's terrible. Just terrible. So let's read some updates on that as well, okay? This here one just came out. When I looked, it said an hour ago. Search for, oh, let me go over and make sure you guys can hear me. I'm still there. Yeah. I don't want that to happen again. Search for fugitive dad closes. Search for fugitive dad closes in as autopsy reveals heartbreaking details in deaths of 3. I don't know what the NW stands for, sorry. Sisters. I'm assuming it's from where they're from, and I can't remember. I thought it was Wisconsin. After a tip, authorities believe they spotted Travis Decker and Decker, the ex-soldier wanted in the deaths of his 3 daughters in a remote area of the Cascades. After authorities deployed trackers and helicopter searches, a solo hiker was spotted from the air. The off-trail hiker ran from sight as the helicopter passed, so more than likely that was him. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office said. Teams later found a trail, and K-9 teams tracked the person to the area of the Ingalls Creek trailhead south of Leavenworth.
Thing is that despite all Reeves's bluster, when you actually look at the best we know of the numbers.
Sorry, I thought that was a video pertaining to this. It's not. Authorities did not say when they spotted the subject, but late Monday night, they issued an alert for residents in the Ingalls Creek and the Valley High community to lock homes and vehicles and to be on the outlook for Decker. The bodies of Paityn, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker, ages 9, 8, and 5, were found a week ago, abandoned at a campsite outside Leavenworth 3 days after their father failed to return them from their mother's Wenatchee, Washington home per a custody agreement. Autopsies were completed Friday and determined the girls died from suffocation, the release says. The girls' wrists were bound with zip ties and their heads were covered with plastic bags. It's just so disgusting. Like, how? How does somebody do that to your 3 children that you supposedly love? Their deaths were ruled homicides. Late Tuesday, authorities said they had received a tip from hikers who saw the lone ill-prepared person near Kolchak Lake and in a popular Cascade Range backpacking area called the Enchantments. Prosecutors charged Decker last week with aggravated murder or red rum and kidnapping. Charging papers say investigators found the girls' bodies a short distance from his abandoned GMC truck. Sheriff's detectives recovered a large amount of evidence and many of Decker's personal belongings from the pickup, according to Monday's news release. His dog was also found at the scene and placed in the care of Humane Society. One blood sample was confirmed to have originated in a male, while a second came back as non-human. Though the release doesn't elaborate on the source. Analysis on DNA and fingerprints is ongoing. Yeah. And I had read an article earlier. I tried to pull up all the articles, the same articles that I had. Maybe it was in this one. There was a couple of really good articles with some information that wasn't out there yet. That was good. I can hear you. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Yeah. Well, take a look at these ones too, because I was curious about whether he had his phone on him or whether he left it in the truck. And I read an article when you guys couldn't hear me about the phone, and it actually did say that he had it on him. It wasn't in the truck. They knew that he had it on him. Authorities believe they spotted ex-soldier Travis Decker, who is wanted in deaths of 3 daughters. Seattle. Yeah, so it's the state of Washington. And there's some pictures of the sheriff's department that's looking for him. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office said in a Facebook post Tuesday that tracking teams responded immediately and a helicopter crew spotted a hiker near Kolchak Lake in a popular. Okay, so we already read that. And the hiker hid. The off-trail hiker ran. Authorities did not say when they spotted the subject. Decker, 32, has been the target of a large manhunt since June 2nd, when sheriff's deputy found his truck and the bodies of his 3 daughters at a campground outside Leavenworth. Now, one of the articles I read, because prior to the article I read earlier, it had said that they were over down an embankment, which I pictured, just the 3 of them laying there over an embankment. But the article that I had read earlier said in a tent, that they were in a tent. He had failed to return the girls to their mother in Wenatchee, about 100 miles east of Seattle, following a scheduled visit 3 days earlier. Decker was an infantryman in the U.S. Army from March 13th to July 2021 and deployed to Afghanistan for 4 months in 2014. He was training in navigation, survival, and other skills. Officials with an array of state and federal agencies have searched hundreds of square miles, much of the mountains and remote, by land, water, and air. The U.S. Marshals Service is offering $20,000 for information leading to his capture. Last September, his ex-wife, Whitney Decker, wrote in a petition to modify their parenting plan that his mental health issues had worsened and that he had become increasingly unstable, often living out of his truck. She sought to restrict him from having overnight visits with the daughters until he found housing. An autopsy on Friday determined the cause of the death, and we already said that. I don't want to say it again. And there he is. Take a good look, because he could be in Canada as well. They're not sure, but it seems he's going the opposite way when you look at the map. Yeah, they're in Washington State, but I don't know either. But that could be because we're Canadian. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, take a good look at him. Okay, so it might be the other article that had more information there. Flooded camp site where 3 sisters were killed, linked to one at Travis Decker. And there's another picture of him, different from the other one. He looks different in every picture. Now, there was another picture I saw last night or this morning, and he looked completely different again. Like, totally different, completely different than any of all the other pictures. Like, this was a newer picture that I hadn't seen yet. Blood found at a campsite where the three sisters were killed has been linked to the former soldier father who vanished from his three daughters, who vanished after his three daughters were killed at the remote campsite in Washington, police said today. So again, the bodies of the three girls discovered in a tent. So see, it says discovered in a tent close to the abandoned pickup truck. So they were in a tent, I guess, over a bank. Belonging to their 39-year-old father, Travis Decker, who remains at large. Officers from Chelan County's Sheriff's Office have now revealed that male blood has been found at the Rock Island campground. Investigators say the girls were visiting their dad during a court-ordered visitation at the time of the killing. And I don't know if that was when my mic went off earlier, and I was just saying the systems that failed these poor girls, you know? I mean, and I know it's their father that did this. It's Travis that did this, and hopefully he'll be caught and he's going to be brought to justice. But besides that, there's some systems that failed here. And in my last video, I kind of compared, or not compared, but I just brought up the Susan Powell case and how, when I listened back, I realized it sounded like I was referring to the Amber Alert. I was referring to the fact that CPS failed. That system failed. The judges who are making these decisions and saying, yeah, those fathers can see these children, they've failed. These children, these three girls, and in the Powell case, those three boys, they should never have been given to these fathers for visitation. Obviously. Anyways, I just wonder, like, sometimes, there's flaws, but then other times it just seems like a lack of common sense. And I find it frustrating. The only other thing I can think of is Northwest. Okay, maybe. Which is often used to describe Washington state. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that probably is. You're probably correct then. We're all still learning, right? Every day we learn something new. Okay, so let's get court. Yeah, the court ordered. And look at them, aren't they precious? She's had some beautiful pictures done of them. Just gorgeous. So precious. And you can just tell they were, so good with each other. You can just see it. Yeah, so precious. It comes after police claim to have spotted the ex-soldier for the first time since the manhunt was launched. A man believed to be Decker was seen near a remote lake by hikers who mentioned he looked ill-prepared for the treacherous terrain. The man fled the scene when the police helicopter went over. We read that. Update on Facebook. Officers believe they know the man's whereabouts, but okay. So the Chelan County Sheriff's Office said in an update on Facebook that officers believe they know the man's whereabouts, but reminded members of the public not to approach him. A preliminary report into the shocking deaths said the sisters appear to have died. Okay, so we already know that. I don't want to keep saying that over and over and over. We know. Authorities searching for the former Army soldier said is wanted for 3 counts of first-degree red rum and first-degree kidnapping. Police have also warned the public do not approach him, the ex-soldier with extensive training, if he is seen, instead urging the public to call 911. And there he is again. different looks every time. We are asking the public, especially those who live or have cabins in the area, to remain highly vigilant and report any suspicious behavior. The sheriff's office shared in their latest update after the sighting. Our office recently received a tip from a hiking party who stated they spotted the lone hiker in the enchantments area who appeared to be ill prepared for the trail and weather conditions and appeared to be avoiding others. Yeah, well, probably him. As the search continues in the area, we are asking that anyone who may have a cabin and one of the other, when I didn't realize you guys couldn't hear me, there was a video and it was a man saying, there's a woman who owns, must be a little business or whatever, because it's like her cabin and then some, he said several other cabins on the property. And she's been gone for a week. And so he called her to give her a heads up type thing to let her know what's going on, because like he said, that'd be a perfect spot for him to hide out and nobody would know because nobody's there. So that would definitely be areas like that he's looking for. That'd be a way to get some food and water and rest. Lock your doors in your vehicles, and he has his phone on him, and I'm hoping this is the article that says that. I know the article I read earlier, it didn't say that the phone was in the truck. It said that he had it with him. So he could even steal a charger out of a phone, right? Or out of a vehicle, a phone charger. So anybody watch for anything like that. You know, if you're missing anything like that in your vehicle, call the police, because that could have been him that was in there rooting through. Lock your doors in your vehicles. Look out for your neighbor's property. Cops also found Decker's vehicle with 2 bloody handprints close to where the girls are located. Police also discovered personal items like a wallet, food, car seats, and a blanket. So it is this article. So see, it doesn't say phone. The location even showed signs somebody had recently been nearby before cops showed up, as they found a tent a short walk away. The alarm was raised after Decker did not drop his daughters back to their mother. In a Facebook post shared on May 31st, Mrs. Decker said, last night at 8 p.m., Travis was supposed to drop the girls back off with me, and they never showed. It's so sad. The cops have him going north of Wenatchee at 5:41. If you could please all keep an eye out for him. His phone is off, and every hotel in Wenatchee and East Wenatchee have been checked. And that's in quotes. That is Whitney, the girl's mom, saying that. Captain Brian Chance from the local police force said the mom expressed concern because Decker reportedly had never done this before and is currently experiencing some mental health issues. So he's never done this before. He's experiencing severe mental health issues. She is asking the court to stop these visitations. He was acting strange when he came to the house, different than he normally would. And they wouldn't put an Amber Alert out. And in my opinion, that is just wrong. That is another system that needs to be looked at, whether there's some kind of gap there and they have to come up with a different type of alert, or just start using this alert more than they apparently want to. Nobody's going to care that you're putting an Amber Alert out. Trust me. He added, what prompted her to call us was that he was late returning the girls and had not communicated to her that he was going to be late. And that wasn't typical, which is out of his typical fashion. Decker and his wife have, and there was domestic violence involved as well. So many reasons for an Amber Alert to be put out. Decker and his wife had been divorced for several years, but he had been allowed to see the daughters every other weekend during specific hours. The dad had been known to stay at motels and camping sites after he lost his home. His ex-wife claimed Deckard had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and she believed he did not take medication for it. And another reason, there's so many reasons, like, and all that compiled together should have warranted an Amber Alert. And again, and I said it in my other video, that's his choice. He's allowed to make that choice not to take medications or go to therapy or whatever the case may be. But it's not the choice of those children to have to be around that. They're too young to make that decision, according to court documents. And that, to me, is where the judge failed them. Like, so many systems wronged these poor girls. And that's just sad. It seems like a pendulum where they overcorrect. Either they are always trying to keep families together, yeah, or protecting the children in situations where keeping the parents away is done but not needed. And I agree. And that just shows you there's something desperately wrong in that system. And with Lily and Jack, if Daniel's children are being kept away from him right now, his 3 children, and if there's no reason for that, they should not be doing that. But I find it hard to believe, and especially where this is so out in the public, that there isn't a reason. And especially being the fact that it went along with her leaving that debrief so suddenly and then going to that ambulance and going into that panic attack and then just cutting him off and looking at him strangely. And there's something going on there. There's something going on that we're not aware of and don't need to be aware of, because it, I'm sure, is a part of the investigation. But here's the thing. Apparently, he's, according to the cousin who was on TikTok, which I do believe that is her, or I would not repeat it. I don't do that kind of garbage stuff. But if I believe it to be true, I'll talk about it. So she stated that he's in the process of fighting for his rights back, which, I mean, that'll be going through the courts and whatnot. So when that takes place, obviously there's information that's going to come out, because Malaya's going to have to explain her side of it. Why, with her lawyer, why these kids shouldn't be around Daniel, and why what happened that day that she just, walked away from him at a debrief about her children and got in an ambulance, where to her, that would be a safe place, right? An ambulance. There would be paramedics there. So she got to a safe place. And then from there, with her mother, and hightailed it out of there as quick as possible. So that's all going to be discussed in court when the parental rights start to, go through the court system here. And then, Daniel, of course, is already starting to say all the stuff that he said in those text messages, basically making it sound like she's really not that great of a parent, which honestly, I don't believe that. I'm not saying she didn't make any mistakes, because obviously there was mistakes made that morning, but we're going to find out more about why that happened. And I'll tell you another thing. For those type of court proceedings, anybody can go in there and sit and listen to that stuff. So anybody that's local, you can go in and sit in that courtroom and you can listen to that stuff. And I can tell you, the press will probably be there listening to what's going on there. So there's going to be, when that stuff starts going on, when they start going into the court system to figure out, whether he should have rights to see this, Meadow's her name. More information's going to have to come out because Malaya will be explaining things. And I'm very interested in, what she's going to say. We're going to understand more about why she did that day and why she does not want that baby around him and why CPS apparently agrees with her. And I'm very interested in what Daniel's going to have to say about that. But anyways, back to these three beautiful. Yes, for sure. Lots of things are going to come out in the custody battle. Yep. And I don't think a lot of people are thinking of that. It's, and like I said, anybody can go down in that courtroom. I was surprised. I only ever had to go to court once when my husband and I were separated for years by that time, but not yet divorced. And so I was in the process of starting to work on the divorce, and it came up about, money that he owed towards the children. And even though I would say, look, I don't care, I don't want that money. I have no issue paying for everything for my children, never did. And I just want the divorce, and from this point on, make him pay what he's supposed to pay for child support. And anyways, no, you can't say that. That's not how it works. If he owes child support, he's paying it. So I didn't understand any of that, but we were called to court because the judge wanted to talk to us about that. And the judge wanted to explain to me that no, he has to pay that. And I didn't know. I walked in there and there's a whole court. I just thought it was going to be him and I and the judge. No, every seat is taken with people sitting there listening to your business. And I was like, what the hell? Like, to me, that's all private, right? But no, everybody's sitting there listening, and they're all waiting to get called up for their case too. And I was like, that was the first time I was ever in court. So I was like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed because to me, that's my the private business of mine and my children being put out there in front of God knows who's in that courtroom. So yes, we are definitely going to find out more about what is going on there when that goes to court. About these two little, I just hate that that's covering that. I'll take me off there just for a second. And that is Lilly&Jack Sullivan. And yes, you want to bet when that goes to court and they're battling out custody arrangements, or whether there will be any, we are going to find out a lot. Yeah. So guys, I think that's it for today. We're at 2 hours now because I didn't realize I didn't have volume again, and I had to, oh my gosh. I could have just stopped the whole thing and started over again, but I thought, no, I got to stay on here and figure this out. Why is my volume going in and out? So for anybody that wasn't here for the whole thing, because I do see there's other people here, just skip over the parts where you can't hear me and move on to where you can hear me. And I'll have to put a note on the video when the video goes out to explain and apologize. So guys, thanks for being here, everybody that came. Absolutely. Thank you for staying, Scooter, and being my guinea pig. If you keep sticking around and I start getting these live streams around, and other people start sticking around, and we have a group in here, I might end up throwing you a wrench if you don't mind. Yeah. But thanks, everyone. Thanks for everyone who showed up for my live and anyone who stuck around to be my guinea pig today. Okay. So good vibes out to everyone. Lots of love. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you next time. I can't tell you when that'll be because I have to base it on my health and usually my husband's work schedule too. So lots of love, everyone. Just a reminder again to hit that like button on the way out.